I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies. It's a really interesting thing to watch.
Women, I won't be following you around to the hospital, monitoring.
And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
By the way, her crowds are zero. Her crowd, she's got no crowds.
And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you.
They take in the geese. You know where the geese are? In the park, in the lake. And even walking off with their pets. My dog's been taken.
You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires.
I always liked him. I'm not going to watch him anymore. I'm not going to watch him because he's not legit, what he did. I'm not going to watch him. And his hair's not as good as it used to be, you know?
I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first.
The parents, Mom, Dad, they're so proud. She goes, come on, baby, you can do it. You saw it. Boom. Can't do it. She couldn't get it up.
And I pledge to you that I will.
My wife hates when I do this. She says it's so unprecedented.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Morning Joe. It's Friday, September 13th. Willie, are you ready for the weekend?
I am. I love his obsession with David Muir's hair. He's disappointed that the hair's gotten worse, implying that he used to think David Muir has great hair. Went on at some length about that. Fascinating.
Does he really want to be talking about hair? I don't know. And then the weave, I don't know. It seems to me that right now the big story is the fact that he doesn't want to debate again. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Yep. It seems to me they could have waited a week or two, but he must have been so traumatized by being so badly beaten that he just wanted to get it out of his mind that he would ever have to be on stage again with Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I mean, he objectively got blown out of the room at that debate three nights ago. He knows that. His advisors know that. Republicans who support him generally have said that on television. Fox News hosts are saying that he knows he got creamed. And so now he's framing it as the debate was unfair to me. The moderators were too mean. I'm not going to do that again. He doesn't want to get back in the ring with Vice President Kamala Harris. That's the truth. So as you said, Donald Trump officially now is backing out of a second debate with the vice president. Despite previously claiming he would participate in one more debate with Harris, the former president said yesterday during that rally in Arizona that because he, quote, won on Tuesday night, he doesn't need another one.
But when a prize fighter loses a fight, you've seen a lot of fights, right? The first words out of that fighter's mouth is, I want a rematch. I want a rematch. And that's what she said, I want a rematch. Polls clearly show that I won the debate against Comrade Kamala Harris. She went over to ABC, which, in my opinion, has taken a big hit because these two people were bad news. They kept screaming at me. I said, why are you screaming? I'm saying to myself, I'm looking at him. I always liked him. I'm not going to watch him anymore. I'm not going to watch him because he's not legit, what he did. I'm not going to watch him. And his hair's not as good as it used to be, you know? So because we've done two debates and because they were successful, there will be no third debate. It's too late anyway. The voting's already begun. You got to go out and vote. We got to vote.
So North Carolina, 2 nights ago, Donald Trump and I had our debate. You watched it? Did you watch it? And look, I believe we owe it to have another debate. Right? We owe it to the voters. Because here's the thing, in this election, what's at stake could not be more important.
That's Kamala Harris, Willie, on the road in front of yet another massive crowd, despite what Donald Trump says. And here's the problem with everything Donald Trump said in those sound bites. How many people watched the debate? I think it was a pretty big number, like 70 million or something across multiple networks. And so we don't have to actually say, oh, he's lying. Let's fact check that. Everyone saw it. Everyone saw it. Everyone knows that he's lying.
Yeah, and he likes that boxing metaphor about a rematch, somehow framing that as how he won. He doesn't need another one. I think the more apt boxing metaphor is that he just got his butt kicked in the third or fourth round, and he's deciding not to come back out for the next round, where Kamala Harris is standing in the middle of the ring, say, let's do it again. He wants none of it. Let's continue the conversation with the co-host of MSNBC's The Weekend, former chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and associate editor of The Washington Post, Eugene Robinson, and managing editor at The Bulwark, Sam Stein. Guys, good morning. Great to have you all with us. Michael, I'll start with you. Your take as someone who has worked in politics for all of his adult life about what it means when someone suddenly declares they don't want another debate.
Yeah. When you come out and try to frame this the way Donald Trump is framing it after we saw what we saw, right? It's not like this was one of those things that you only heard on radio or you just didn't tune in and missed it. And no, a lot of people saw this. We know he's lying. We know he not just got stung, he got knocked down. And he got knocked down in such a way that he could not get up. So basically what you have is to keep this boxing metaphor going, the guy on the mat looking up with one hand up in the air, trying to get up off the floor saying, I don't want any more, no mas. And it's very clear why, because he recognized from the very beginning of that debate, and for me, Willie, it was the moment she walked over and shook his hand. She threw him off his game in that moment because he had no intentions of shaking her hand. He was not going to be the gentleman to go to the center of the ring, if you will, and shake your opponent's hand and to begin the conversation. But she did him one better, went over to him and introduced herself, Kamala Harris. And from that moment, he was not the same. She started off a little rocky, but she found her footing very quickly on issue after issue. And the only thing he was reduced to was talking about ducks and cats and whining about the fact that, she was lying about his crowd size. If that is basically the essence of that debate for Donald Trump. And so, he's on the mat looking up from the floor saying, I don't want no more. God bless you, Donald, because when you get up, she's going to hit you again. And she's ready. And I think the country's ready for her to continue to do that, because I think I heard Mika say at some point earlier this week, we're just exhausted. And I think we're done with all of this. And she has become, as Donald Trump was the avatar for grievance and regression and looking backwards, she's now the avatar for looking forward and hope. And people see that there is something ahead that they can move towards as opposed to staying stuck where we are.
Kudos to you, Michael Steele, for taking our extended boxing metaphor to the Roberto Duran Sugar Ray Leonard fight with no mas in 1980. Very nicely done there. Eugene Robinson, we saw there just again the stark contrast. We saw Donald Trump at his rally in Arizona talking about dogs and cats and geese and David Muir's hair. And then cut to two raucous, crowded events, contrary to what Donald Trump keeps saying, for Kamala Harris in the state of North Carolina. Again, just trust your eyes. Is there a big crowd there? Are they enthusiastic? Are they excited? Yes, the answer is. And how gleeful the vice president was when talking about the debate, the smile on her face, because she, too, knows how it went in that room in Philadelphia on Tuesday night.
Yeah, she had two rallies in North Carolina yesterday. One was like 7,500 people. The other was 17,500 people or something like that. They were huge. And they were raucous. They were enthusiastic. They were full of joy. They were exactly what Trump and his camp most fear. Look, this debate was, we'll see if it was a real turning point in this election, but it was certainly a moment that can only be good for Kamala Harris and a moment that can only be bad for Donald Trump. And I imagine that his staff, when he said, okay, maybe we don't do another debate, I imagine they encouraged him, okay, send that out, say that today, because, and put it, you know, let's eliminate the possibility of another debate, because how could they stand another one of those, another beatdown like that?
Right.
I just don't, I don't see it.
You know, not overtly trying to be mocking, because these are really serious times. Nobody made that more clear than Kamala Harris did on the debate stage. But one final note about the debate. I mean, it really was, no joke here, it was the Wizard of Oz, finally, at the end, when the curtain is pulled back. His act was dismantled by her face alone, and also everything that she said. In front of so many people, it's going to be very hard for the former president to convince anybody, except for diehard MAGA, who don't, the types of people who will follow him to anywhere. It's going to be very hard for him to convince most Americans that he had a modicum of sense and had any hits during that debate. He was the loser. And for the first time, everyone at the same time saw it.